Ma'am, actually, RTI is one of the crusades for against corruption, and it's also against the Official Secrecy Act. So, are you satisfied with the system RTI?
The RTI Act that we got was as a result of a very strong people's movement, where the law came as a result of people from across the country or across socio-economic strata demanding that there be a strong Right to Information Act. The law that was passed in 2005 is one of the most progressive laws anywhere in the country. Unfortunately, the implementation of the law has not been as strong as we would have liked. People are using the law very vibrantly. Around 60 lakh RTI applications are filed in our country every year, which is more than anywhere globally. But what people are finding are problems when they try to access information. There are problems because of 2 or 3 reasons. One is that RTI users are often dissuaded, threatened, attacked, and many times even killed. Since 2005, more than 100 RTI users have been killed for asking for information and exposing corruption and wrongdoing. The second thing is that the information commissions that are supposed to ensure that people are able to get their right to information and their information are not being allowed to function properly. So the Central Information Commission, not a single information commissioner has been appointed in the last 10 years till people have approached the courts. Similarly, there are other commissions in the country like Jharkhand, Tripura, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh that are lying empty. Governments are not making appointments to these commissions. Also, what is happening is that the central government has brought regressive amendments to the RTI law, which have weakened the RTI law, which basically means that information commissioners' autonomy, independence has been compromised because their salary, tenure, and pensions are now being decided by the central government. And through the Data Protection Act, in the name of protecting right to privacy, people's right to information has been compromised.
So far as the electoral bonds are concerned, it was RTI to unveil this total that means corruption. So, what's being the convener of NCPRI? So, what would be your roadmaps to unveil those amounts so far?
So the Right to Information Act was used to access government records on the deliberations that happened before the electoral bond scheme was brought. I filed RTI applications, Commodore Batra filed RTI applications, there were others who filed them to access information on how the electoral bond scheme was brought in. And a lot of data was unearthed, which was then used in the Supreme Court case, where the Supreme Court looked at much of that information, and finally the court has, of course, declared electoral bonds to be unconstitutional and violative of people's right to information and Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. But I think that already now, because of the Supreme Court's directions, data on how much electoral bond was bought by whom and who got the electoral bonds is out in the public domain. People need to look at that data. That data is on the Election Commission's website, and the court has given this direction because the court basically wanted to ensure that people can cast an informed vote. And therefore, it's important that all of us use this information, we access this, understand this information before we go and cast our vote.
Are you satisfied with the way of that means nomination or selection or selection of chief RTI commissioners?
The selection of information commissioners, first of all, governments are trying not to appoint any information commissioners at all. Our studies have shown that in many commissions across the country, there are huge pendencies of more than 3 lakh cases are pending in information commissions, and yet there are not enough commissioners that are being appointed by governments, because governments have understood that if there are no commissioners or very few commissioners, then people will not be able to get a hearing and get their cases disposed and get the information. But even where appointments are being made, they are being made in a very non-transparent manner. They are not being made in an open, proper manner, accountable manner, which means that very often commissioners who are simply the favorites and acolytes of the ruling parties get appointed as commissioners, which impacts the Right to Information Act.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.